Osama Hamdan, thank you for joining me on UpFront. Why, after all the bad blood and the tensions between Hamas in Gaza and Fatah in the West Bank, why have you both decided to form a unity government now?
Well, first of all, I have to say that we have agreed on forming a national unity government in 2007. And the situation was not good between Hamas and Fatah at that time, but we both, at least from our side, we believe we have to face the occupation and we need to be united. Unfortunately, this did not happen in the right way for several years. Now we came to this crash point and we both understand we need, as Palestinians, a national unity government. We hope that we can achieve that as soon as possible, because the Israelis now are taking over the lands by the settlements. The region is unstable. The international community is not willing to help the Palestinians unless they are united.
And there have been more than half a dozen attempts at reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah over the past decade. The last unity government, I believe, was formed in 2014 before it collapsed. What makes you think this unity government won't collapse like the ones that came before?
Well, in politics, no one can say that I'm sure 100%, but you have to try. We have created a national unity government in 2014, as you have mentioned. It collapsed because it didn't work as it's supposed to be. Now we are talking about a political government. It's supposed to be formed from all the Palestinian organizations.
How worried are you that a Trump administration, with its strong support for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with its open support for illegal settlements, with its plan to move the US embassy to Jerusalem, how worried are you that will further entrench the occupation and further isolate the Palestinian people?
Everyone knows that all the administrations has supported the Israelis. They've supported their military, they've supported their political ideas and programs, and no one make any real step against the settlements building, while everyone knows it's illegal. So let's see what will Trump do. I think part of the worries among the Palestinians is what will Trump do. If he moved the embassy, he knows well that this will make a huge change in the struggle between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and he knows that Jerusalem is the key for peace, and he has to make a choice whether he wants to create the peace in the region or he wants to put Israel on the line of fire.
Do you think there'll be violence from your side if the embassy moves?
Well, I don't accept the idea of having violence from the Palestinian side. I believe the resistance from the Palestinian side. Everyone knows that we are a people under the occupation. We are a nation under the occupation. Now, if there was changes or the United States administration tried to make a change in the status of Jerusalem, Al-Quds, that will mean an action from the Palestinian side, and no one can control that. There will be a resistance for this. There will be a resistance against the occupation. And I think this is the idea which Trump must understand. And he has to make his choice. If he wants to be the president who creates peace in the region, of the presidents who added more oil to the fire. He has to make his choice, because the Palestinians will not accept to abandon Jerusalem. They will not accept to abandon their rights. The Palestinians are still committed to their rights, still committed to what they have all agreed, that they want their independent sovereign state, and Jerusalem is the capital of the state.
You say Jerusalem is the capital of the state. You won't give up on Jerusalem. There is a lot of debate about what Hamas will or won't give up, what Hamas wants from a quote-unquote peace process. What is your end goal as of 2017? Is it the elimination of Israel as documented in your charter, or is it some form of pragmatic two-state solution?
Well, I have to say clearly that we in Hamas, we want to liberate the Palestinian lands, and we want an independent sovereign state for the Palestinians, with the return of all the refugees, and Jerusalem the capital of our state as Palestinians. Everyone knows that all the Palestinian organizations have agreed on the Palestinian national document, which was signed in 2006. And in 2006, we've said all in this document, as Palestinians, We want to build a Palestinian state on the lines of the 4th of June, 67, including Jerusalem with the right of return of the Palestinians. This is a national Palestinian goal agreed by all the Palestinian organizations.
What you're saying is that Hamas would accept a Palestinian state, an independent state, in the occupied territories, in what the world considers occupied, the West Bank and Gaza. You would accept a state on the 1967 lines. Is that a temporary solution or is that a long-term solution?
Well, it depends on the Israelis' behavior. If they accepted that and acted in a positive way, that will be something else. But if they insist all the time to be the occupiers, to take over the lands, to take over the Jerusalem, no one will accept that. No one will stay watching this.
Assume they do back off. Assume the Israelis are okay with an independent state on the West Bank and Gaza. Will Hamas be okay with that?
If they did that, they will create a chance. And then the Palestinian elected government will decide what will be the next step, and we will accept that.
Palestinians often accuse Israel of carrying out war crimes in the West Bank and especially Gaza, a charge supported by many human rights organizations in many cases. But those organizations have also accused Hamas of war crimes as well. A report by Amnesty International in 2015, for example, found, quote, abductions, torture and summary killings of Palestinians by Hamas forces during the 2014 Gaza-Israel conflict.
Well, anyone can say whatever he likes. We are talking about evidence. They have to say when and how had this happened. They have to give names. They have to give places. They have to talk about facts. And we are clear. If there is something like that happened, we are ready to investigate and we are ready to deal with that in a positive way. We are not killing our people.
Osama Hamdan, Amnesty International, did a report in 2015 with lots of facts, figures, names, dates. It's not just Amnesty International. Human Rights Watch said last year Hamas, quote, summarily executed alleged Palestinian traitors, engaged in arbitrary arrests, torture of detainees, and, quote, helped fire thousands of indiscriminate rockets and mortars towards Israeli population centers. Those are all potential war crimes.
Well, let's separate the issues.
Okay.
What we have done in our resistance against the occupation is not a war crime. We were defending our own people. The Israelis were launching thousands, hundreds of thousands of rockets against the Palestinians, and in turn we acted against that. And so this is not a war crime. That was our defense against the Israeli war crime towards our people in Gaza.
People who say Palestinians who say they've been tortured by Hamas. Do you dismiss them?
No, we don't torture them. We don't torture the Palestinians, and we have said clearly that Amnesty International, they are welcome. They want to visit Gaza, and they are welcome to ask the people directly. They are welcome to see everywhere if that was true or not.
Hamas became famous, infamous even in the 1990s, for its campaign of suicide bombings inside Israel across the Green Line against civilian targets. Do you still consider that to be a legitimate and current form of quote-unquote resistance, what you call resistance against Israel? Does Hamas still support suicide operations?
Well, let's ask this question first. What's the problem in that? The bomb or the suicide actions? If it was the bomb, let's ask what's the meaning of sending hundreds of thousands of rockets against the Palestinians and their houses and their buildings and their offices and their streets and their markets? Is that a terrorist action, or because it's Israel, no one is asking the question? As Palestinians, we don't have crafts, we don't have tanks,
okay, so put
we
aside,
don't have
put aside the tactic. You've made that point.
Weapons.
What about the targets?
So we use what we have.
What about the targets?
The idea
buses,
here,
pizza restaurants, public squares.
If you went back through the targets, you will find that most of the people who were killed, they were soldiers, even if they were in buses, even if they were in other places. The idea is simply that there is an occupation who is attacking our people, killing our people. This occupation must understand the political leadership of this occupation, the military leadership of this occupation. They have to understand that they can't kill our people without paying a price for that. We believe that the people there must make the needed pressure on their leadership to withdraw. This is the idea. If we want to target the civilians as civilians, other targets will be attacked, like cinemas or football stadiums. This did not happen. No one attacked such targets because the target was not the civilians. It was the militants who were using the buses.
I've interviewed many Israelis on this show, and I've asked them about alleged war crimes by Israel. But you're on the show now. 73-year-old Lyubov Razdolskaya, Israeli citizen, 73 years old, killed in a suicide bombing at a shopping center in Dimona. Hamas called it a heroic act. How is that a heroic act? That's a cowardly murder of a 73-year-old woman. How can you support such a thing in the name of fighting occupation?
Well, it's clear that you are mixing the things, or at least this is the story of the Israelis. There is 2 points in this. When you target the militants, it's not our problem that the Israeli militants are hiding themselves among the civilians. It's not our problem that the Israeli militants are using the buses. It's not our problem when the Israeli militants went to the market.
That's the Israeli line. When they bomb Gaza, they say the same thing about you. They say Hamas is hiding with civilians.
And then they've said, well, there was... No, that's not true. Because they bombed the houses. I was clear. If you want to target the civilians, we will attack a clear civilian places, which did not happen, which is more easier, which is more simpler, but we did not do that. We were attacking even the soldiers.
Just to be clear, does Hamas still support suicide operations on the other side of the Green Line?
To be clear, we believe that it's our right to resist the occupation. We will need what we believe is the right tactic in doing that.
Osama Hamdan, thanks for joining me on UpFront.
Thank you.